Hey ladies and gents, welcome back to another podcast, episode 3. Today it's going to be a very special podcast, considering that I am going to be going solo today. Therefore, it's just going to be me and you. I hope you tune in into today's podcast, listen to what I have to say. I'm going to be going through some interesting topics, some serious topics. So get your headsets ready, get comfortable, get a snack, and let's begin. I'm gonna begin with talking about what it was like for me to be in high school. When I was in high school, things changed a lot for me. As a kid, when I was young, I moved a lot. I moved schools, even though some of them were the same schools. I moved schools quite a lot, and high school was the last school I moved to. I came back to Lebanon, where I studied in the American School of Beirut, and it was a big change for me because I was in middle school. I completed 3 years in middle school without any change, which was my first, since in elementary I had a lot of changes. But when I was in middle school, it was the best years of my life, the best years of my childhood. It was the best people I could have met. However, at that time, although it's a different story, I wish I could have done things differently. But anyways, when I found out that I needed to move back, I was very upset. I was very angry, very upset. I didn't want to move. You could literally ask my family. Well, you can't, but if you could ask my family how much I hated moving back. I literally did not, even in my first 3 years into high school, I did not want to move back. It was a very big and hard change for me because of personal reasons that even my family don't know about. Leaving my friends behind, my best friends, which I barely talk to today, and something I'm very upset about, but maybe I'll get into that later. It was very hard for me. I refused to go on with it. Even in my first year when I was new, I didn't do much with people. I stayed isolated in a way. But don't look, I wasn't depressed. If I was not depressed, I was just really sad, and I wished I could have stayed at the amazing school I was when I was in middle school. But it's how life is. So I moved. It took me basically till the 11th grade to get to know people properly, to get to become friends a bit with some of them, even though I don't even talk much with most people. But there are a few who are in my university. We're in the same university, so I do talk to them a bit, especially this one friend who I'm very happy, very grateful to always catch up with every time we meet. Voice crack. Every time we meet up. But yeah, it took a while for me to adapt in high school, and if that's the case for you guys, I'm gonna tell you something about it. I'm gonna tell you how I got through it. Obviously, this does not apply to the majority. This is mainly for people who are like me. I wouldn't say special, but I would just say are given unlucky circumstances. Basically, I struggled making friends. As you may know, when you're in high school, you have different groups of people. It's basically cliche, or like that type of thing, where you have like the cool guys, the cool gangs, for example, or the smart people, or the like gamers, or like things like that. Things you'd usually watch in like American shows, like high school teens and that type of stuff. You might get the reference in like High School Musical, where I think the song was Status Quo. You will notice that they were referring back to like staying within your group, not expanding, not doing something different. And that's that type of idea when I'm talking about the different groups, And so basically, I didn't consider myself as any of those groups. And as a matter of fact, I have met people like me quite recently, and they feel the same way, or at least somewhat the same way. But the idea is, I'm neither a cool guy, neither a smart guy, neither a gamer. I'm none of the above. I is what I call myself as a floater. A floater is, for those who don't know, is a person who floats between groups. He or she isn't a permanent per se part of the group, but the person who just, if you see a group of people talking, hanging out, you just go and sit and listen. By 95%, if not 99% of the time, you do not talk. You just sit there, smile, laugh if there's something funny, and maybe every once in a while drop a fact or something about something you might relate to, or you could contribute. But otherwise, you'd just be chilling with the group, listening by, and blah blah blah. Yeah. As a floater, you don't really do much. As I said, you're isolated. And when I was isolated, I always used to think of as my own group. I don't think myself as being a part of another group, because I always think about myself, what I have to do, what I got to do, what I will have to do, and stuff like that, Whereas if you're in a group, you always have plans and stuff like that. But as an isolated person, I always base my plans on myself and not based on how free someone else is. Okay, maybe once in a while we might do something, because that's just how it is. People, you get to do something with them. Maybe go play a football game, volleyball game, stuff like that, or just hang out after school and study. That's pretty much the most I would have done as a floater. As far as I can remember, I have never hanged out with, and again, I don't mean to sound depressing, it's just how my life is, how my personality is, and I don't find it to be something wrong. I just find it to be just how it is. Everyone's born some way, and you just gotta work with what you've got. But everything's still a blessing, so I'm grateful for what I have, even if it might sound depressing for most of you. It's normal. But yes, basically, all I do is go to school and go home. And since personally I was a part of the volleyball team, the football team, and a bunch of other teams, I would usually just go and do those sports and then go home. I wouldn't do much. Maybe if there's an hour break between after school and training, I'd hang out with people, or I'd go study, or I'd just go grab a bite. The thing is, as a floater, something you should know is that you're always alone. You don't rely on others. You don't do 99% of the time, you don't do stuff with others. I could tell you, as a matter of fact, when I was in high school, at least 95%, 90% of the time, I was always, during breaks, let's say, I was always alone. I'd go to a room, empty room, pull up my laptop. If I'm really busy, I'd go study. If I know I could put the workload and do it at home, I wouldn't study. I'd, for example, watch something on YouTube to relax my mind, to be relaxed, to chill. That's pretty much the gist of it. In high school, I used to sit with one of my teachers, and we sometimes just talked. Obviously, this wasn't all the time, since he's a teacher and he has stuff to do, you know. You can't really always talk to them, but it was that's one thing. I used to just talk with teacher about like random stuff, which was really fun because it really gives you that good adult and maturity. That's how I felt. And the basics of being a floater is what I've just explained. It is rough. I could say, even though I mentioned that middle school was my best year in my childhood, I'd say that's when I started beginning to be a floater. I wasn't completely, I was definitely not as much as I was in high school, but definitely was beginning to. But like I said, it's something you need to adapt to, you need to live up with, and live up to, you know. You gotta work with it. You can't just keep resisting it and saying, no, I'm not this. If you're something and you're resisting it, it's bound to force you to not resist it, okay? It's better to adapt to it, work with it, and try and push upon these limitations. Hence why I've become the person I am today, where I'm able to be doing such things like this. You know, as a floater, you could consider yourself also more of an introvert, because every point I've made about me being a floater signifies the fundamental aspects of being an introvert compared to an extrovert. As I said, extroverts are people who are always social. I was not social. It's not that I was shy. Maybe I was shy. I used to have confidence issues. I used to always be shy. And don't get me wrong, I am still to this day a pretty shy person, but it's taking me guts right now to push myself right now to even do this podcast, believe it or not. Me believing in myself, and throughout the years having people believing in me, helped me a lot, and I believe in those people who are trying to become more confident, even if they're floaters just like I am trying, just like I was becoming from middle school up to high school. And even during my first year at university, it was not easy to make friends. I used to always do stuff on my own. Like at the university level, which I'll talk about later on, it's different. It's a different atmosphere. So I can't really compare to high school. But yes, as a floater, you face a lot of challenges. Not many people understand it. That's the thing. Not many people understand what you go through. People just see you and say, oh, look at this loner. Oh, look, this guy doesn't have any friends. Oh, look, what's wrong with this guy? Oh, look, why is this guy like this? Oh, look, this guy's a weirdo. Oh, look, blah blah blah. It's you do hear that stuff. I'm not saying that I entirely hear that all the time, but I've heard it a few times, and honestly I never let it bother me. I've gotten used to the fact of ignoring what people say. It was hard for me to do that, but it's a skill I managed to work on and practically achieve. Like I feel like I've mastered ignoring negative comments, negative thoughts, negative movements, and that's the type of thing that comes with being a floater, because if you don't work on those stuff, then you're not gonna change. And in order to become a better person, in order to evolve as a person, you've got to go through this process. Of course, this only applies to floaters, because being in a social group is much different than being as a floater. Being in a social group is practically the end result of a floater. The floater has to go through this extremely difficult challenge, through this extremely difficult process of many obstacles, more obstacles than anyone can ever believe, which is why floaters tend to be one of the best people because they've experienced it all, they've gone through all their hardships. This is what I think. I hope those who are floaters just like me, and if you're listening to this, I really hope you do feel the same way as I do, because I believe in you, and I believe that together as floaters we could make a change. We could make people see that we are not just quote unquote loners or weirdos, blah blah blah. We are proper human beings who are more special than they could comprehend. This is basically what I wanted to share with you guys about being a floater. It's just something I wanted to put out there. Obviously I'm not attacking anyone, I felt like I needed to share this with you guys. And for you guys who can understand, I appreciate it. And for you those who can't, no worries, I believe that you will one day. But anyways, I'm gonna sway towards another topic, which is somewhat, you could say, related to, but I find this to be much more personal than being a floater, and that is not being smart. What is it like to not being smart? I bet you're surprised right now that I'm asking that question. You might have thought like, oh, what is it like to be smart? That's the question everyone hears. What is it like to be smart? Oh, what is it like to be on the honors list, or to be the number one student? You've got to be genius. How do you know all of this? How do you do all of that? How do you even manage? How is that even possible? You always hear those stuff, but something you never hear is, how is it like to be not smart? What are the struggles? What are the challenges? What are the processes that you need to take in order to maintain yourself in a way, How do you live with yourself? These are questions I believe people should ask, because in our world there are people who are smart, there are people who are average, and then there are those who are below average. Of course, what I'm talking about is people who are naturally not smart. Don't take it the wrong way. I'm not saying dumb. I'm saying not smart. Because saying dumb, calling someone dumb is just a cheap insult, And it's really rude to call someone dumb if they're not smart. But when I refer to saying not smart, I don't mean like getting bad grades, for example, even though it is a part of it, but I don't mean it per that sense, because you can get bad grades and still be smart, but not study for your test, for example, not put in the effort, not work enough, that type of stuff. Those are just called lazy people. Whereas those people who are not smart, who are naturally not smart, really do go through a struggle. And over the years, I personally have felt to be that way. Over the years, I've gone through a lot in terms of my academic life. This is why to this day, I was able to admit that actually this is my first time ever announcing it publicly in a way, which is weird, but I do not see myself as a very smart person on a natural basis. I'm just born to not be that academically smart, or even I wouldn't say street smart, because honestly I don't know what it takes to be street smart, like when it would take you to be street smart and by like knowing how to cheat and stuff, because that's a whole different story. But yes, I do think I'm not a smart person. I struggle a lot. Yeah, my classmates who know me from high school, from middle school, I doubt middle school because we were young and it's been a while, but high school most probably, people see me, I'm always focused in class. I never talk, I never do anything else and focus on the task in hand in the in the class sessions, what the teacher is talking about, blah blah blah. At some point, I don't know if you guys know, I've taken the International Baccalaureate IB diploma, and I'll get into even that process of me getting it to the IB. At some point, I remember this one girl in this class who asked me, because the topic was brought on, people were like talking, oh, what score did you, what grades are you getting, what's your predicted. A predicted in IB is like what you predicted to get on your final exams. It's what your teachers believe you will most probably get. They'll give you a score, a prediction. And the topic in hand that was brought up, that people were discussing, oh, what's your predicted, and blah blah blah. And then this one girl, I remember her name as well, but I don't want to mention her name. She asked me, oh, what's yours? Akid, yours is very high. Akid means, of course, apologies, trying to keep English here. Of course, you must have a very high score. Like you're always like, you're smart, like you know a lot. I never told the truth. If I'm being honest, I never told the truth. It's not that I lied. I don't even think I said it's confidential, because I don't like sharing my grades. I never do, and I never will share my grades. If anything, I'll hint at it, but I'll never give the exact grade, because it's my business. So, it's not anyone else's business. But I'm tracking off right here. But yes, this girl assumed that I'd be smart and stuff. People saw me as a person who focused. People saw me that I paid attention to what I did. I do the homework and stuff, but they never understood that it was a struggle, because I never actually understood what was going on. I'm gonna take math, for example. Even though math is a very common subject for people to struggle in, I bet no one knows this, but if you look at every single test I did in my high school, I'm gonna say from 10th grade or 11th grade onwards, because 9th grade was a whole different story, just complete disaster. 10th grade, I can barely remember, but 11th grade on, when IB began, I practically failed every test. I don't think I've ever successfully passed any of my math tests. I struggled so much. As much as I studied, as much as I did problems, I never understood. And it's just how it is. Like, my brain cannot comprehend this information. I'm not smart enough. I was not capable of. I'm just naturally like that. So obviously I could not do anything. And this is what people need to understand, that if you're not smart, it's not in our hands. That's number one. Number two, if you know someone's not smart, not just because I don't know, like, if you see someone who's not smart, don't judge them immediately, because it's not fair for them, and it's not fair that you're doing that to them. Like, you gotta understand maybe where they're coming from. Maybe they've had struggles. Maybe they're just naturally not smart, and it's important to be aware of that. Maybe ask them, do you need any help? Are you understanding it? Check up on them once in every while. Like, don't go straight to going, you got a bad grade, or you're not good, you suck, I'm better than you. No, don't do that. That's not nice. And trust me, there are people who are like that. Maybe not in my case, but there are people who are like that. At least not to me, but I've witnessed maybe a few. Yeah, then, like, for example, I couldn't not study. Like, I had to study. My parents are paying a lot of money for me to go to one of the best schools in the country, I cannot not study. I cannot not pass. I cannot not I cannot fail. I have to put the effort. I need to get those passing rates. I need to work harder and smarter, and put in the effort, and and those who are like me, I just want you to know that it is possible to succeed, no matter how naturally unsmart you are, not smart you are, whatever you want to say. You can do it. I believe in you, I trust in you, and I believe you could pass. If you put in the effort as much as you can every day, you will succeed without a doubt. I promise you. I am just like you, if not worse. I am telling you that I have struggled a lot. I failed a lot, more than I've succeeded in total. I have failed so much, and I really hope you listen to me, because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you two things actually. One thing, as I told you, I took the IB. When you're in the 11th grade, or maybe end of 10th grade, you're supposed to make a decision if you want to go with high school, the IB. This is obviously just for like international students, because if you're like a Lebanese student, you go look for the Lebanese baccalaureate. If you're a French student, you go for the French system. And there are other systems like the British system, and like so on and so forth, depending which country you are, which school you are, of course. But for students like me, in my case, as a American school who provides the American system, so the high school diploma, the international baccalaureate, I wanted to do the international baccalaureate, because of course if you take the international baccalaureate, you're able to skip freshman year in university, and I'm pretty sure for UK based system you're able to skip foundation years, maybe. I'm not sure about that, but it has a big benefit if you take IB. And when I was meeting with the IB coordinator, the person who was in charge of all the students taking IB, we had like, I promise you, we had like so many meetings, because there was an issue with my case. I wanted to do IB, and the school was saying, no, you are not able to do IB. It's not easy for you. It's going to be extremely difficult. There is a lot of work. It's not just classes. You have extra papers, 2 years worth of content to work with. You have an extended essay. You have IAs, and if you don't know what those are, you could search it up. You'll get a straight definition of what it is. Just search up like extended essay, IB, and IA, IB, And I had so many meetings where my coordinator, and don't get me wrong, my coordinator was a very smart person. She was very smart and she knows what she's doing, but I was very stubborn and resilient, and so I decided to go with the IBN. It took so many meetings, and I did not give up. I said, I want to do IB, I'm going to do IB. You think I'm incapable of doing IB? Well, I think I'm capable of doing IB. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care. I know I want to take the challenge. IB is the hardest thing that you could provide. I want that. Okay, I want that. It's my decision. I've said it. After so many meetings, I finally got what I wanted. I got the IB. I got what I wanted. Now I had to face the challenge. It's not easy, guys. I'm telling you. If you say you're gonna do something, you gotta achieve it. Especially when there is added pressure, knowing that you are naturally not smart. Yeah. If you have that added pressure, it makes things much harder. Which is why I had to put more focus. I was I was motivated, and determined straight off the bat since the beginning of the 11th grade. I put all my focus. I wanted to do the best I could, so I had to do what I can. And luckily, of course, I did do quite poorly. I did manage to pass the IB after they re-examined the results, because I graduated the year 2020. So if you might know, the IB had some unfortunate backfires from the community, so they redid the examinations and regraded our grades. So luckily I managed to pass. But the point here is I passed. I managed to put the effort. I did good. And as a matter of fact, I took IB chemistry at a higher level. My IB coordinator, she told me chemistry is the hardest science. We had physics, biology, and chemistry. Chemistry, obviously, physics, chemistry are like, there's a debate on which one's harder or not, but the idea is chemistry is the hardest one, and you are not going to be able to do it. She was like, do biology, because people who take biology are people who wanted to do the easier science. And don't get me wrong, biology is hard. I've seen people struggle. Biology is hard. And yes, I wanted to take chemistry. I didn't want to take standard level chemistry. I wanted to take higher level chemistry. And I was like, nope, I want to take higher level chemistry. I want to do higher level chemistry. I love chemistry. I'm into the course. Maybe I want to even study chemistry as a university level. Well, I actually didn't think of that. That's actually wrong by me. I'm sorry about that. But the idea is I really wanted to do chemistry. I loved chemistry. I had no reason for loving chemistry, if I'm being honest with you. I just had that passion inside of my heart. Every time chemistry came around, my heart was like, okay, let's get to work. You can literally feel the beats going faster and faster. That's how I felt. And guess what? I got a 5 on my IB chemistry. Okay, we were only graded based on our IAs, but I did get a 5. A 5 is amazing as a higher level chemistry. Who was told by his coordinators that he's unable to pass the course successfully. It's going to be an extremely difficult challenge. I worked so hard that I got a 5. I even started doing my experiment during the summer. I was the first one to finish my lab, my whole report, because I put in the effort, I put in the time, and I worked hard. So the idea here, guys, is, and of course I'm gonna tell you the second thing later on, actually soon. But the idea is, for you guys who don't think you're not that smart, you're not that well, I wouldn't say educated, because if you've gone through elementary, middle school, and high school, then you've had the education you got. It's just about not being naturally smart. And if you're not naturally smart, the only thing I could tell you is, it's all in your head. It's not what the work is. It's not how much work there is. Not how the quality of the work. Not the level of the work. Not the teachers. Not the system. Not the environment. Nothing. It's all in your mind. It's all in this brain of yours. It's all in that mind where you have the choice. You can either choose, and you have 2 options, and you have no other choice than these 2 options. Either work, put your mindset that, okay, I'm gonna pass and I'm gonna do everything in my power to do so, or I'm gonna say no, and meaning that I'm gonna struggle so much. I am not that smart. I'm not naturally smart. I'm incapable. I don't think I could do this, but I still want to take the challenge. These are two ways of taking it. Or you could take the third route, which is take the easier route, that is like the American system, for example, in my case. But the idea is you gotta put your mindset in the right place. And personally, one of the best things that helped me was self-talk. Positive self-talk. There's nothing better than the positive self-talk I gave myself. I did it much less in high school than I did it in my university, in my first year of university. Even up to 3 days ago, when I finished my final exam, I gave myself some big self-positive talk, and it really does help. And I truly believe if you tell yourself, like, I'm just gonna say, for example, Jack. I'm gonna call myself Jack. Let's say your name is Jack. I'm gonna go, Jack, I know you could do this. I believe in you. You're capable. You're resilient. Even if you're not naturally smart, you could do it. If I just work, if I just put in the hours, put in 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever amount of hours, and work, and I turn off my distractions. If my distractions are my phone, I turn it off. I put it on the side. No, don't even turn your phone off. Don't turn your phone off. Keep your phone on. Put it on the side. Fight it. Fight it. If your distraction is watching YouTube, have YouTube open. Don't watch anything. You got to fight it. If you turn off YouTube, then you're just taking it easy, and you're more likely to go into the trap again. If your distraction is talking to friends, don't talk to friends. Don't talk to them. Tell them, no, I need to study. If you want to talk, we study together, we work together, and when we finish, we talk. We talk all the talk you want to talk. And if your distraction is something else, you get the gist of it. Put it aside. Don't eliminate it. Put it aside. Because if you eliminate it, then it just makes it easier for you to fall into the trap once you finish your beginning. Because, for example, I'll give you an example. When I used to study, I still do study, but when I studied before, and I was like, okay, I need to work. I have a big final exam coming up, and this course is super hard. I barely understand anything. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's down. I don't know what's everywhere. So what I do, and I'm telling you an example of how you can fail. So what I would do, okay, I turn off my YouTube. I not turn off, like I have YouTube there, but I don't watch YouTube. I open my stuff, I open my notes, I open the slides, I open the whatever equipment, whatever things you have, resources you have, whatever you have, you open it and you use it. You start studying, start reviewing. Everyone has their own method of reviewing, so, and studying, so you know yourself in that case. But and then you finish studying, you do a good job for the first time. You have a good start, a very excellent start. Afterwards, you say, okay, I'm gonna take a 5-minute break. You open YouTube, I open YouTube, and I start watching. That's where I lost it. That's where everything I just did went to waste. Because as soon as I open that YouTube, as soon as I start watching one video, I fell into the trap. Turning it off is like, I miss it. It's gone. I won't have it. When am I gonna be able to watch it again? Having it on and resisting it will let you know when you're done, when you are done studying, when you are done with your final exam, you will be able to go back to it. You haven't lost your YouTube, you haven't lost your phone, you haven't lost your friends, you haven't lost anything. You just need to set it aside for a temporary time. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have, let's say for example, as much as I love YouTube, and as much as I would love to do nothing more than just YouTube, I ended up not posting any videos for 3-4 months. because I had to set aside some time to study and boost my GPA. And I did. I got about 2-3 times the amount I got. Well, not 2-3 times. That's just no. That doesn't even make sense. But like, I did so much better that I got so proud, and I provided myself with some. I applauded myself in a way, mentally, because I provided myself some positive talk, some positive rewards, And now that I'm done, I can go back to YouTube. Now I'm doing YouTube non-stop. Now that I'm capable of studying, putting the effort for my academic career, I can now do YouTube simultaneously. See what I'm telling you? And you don't need to be smart. You don't need to be a naturally smart person. You just need to put in the effort. I put in the effort. I managed to boost myself. I managed to push myself to limits that I didn't even know existed. And that's what I hope you guys fall into. I hope you guys follow my footsteps. I hope I was able to inspire you in this case, because I really do feel that you can do it. Even if you're a smart person, you do face limitations. Don't get me wrong, you still do face limitations. And a smart person, you have even higher expectations. I wouldn't say higher expectations than a not smart person, but you have high expectations within your own standards. So try and apply these methods to yourself. I do believe you guys can do well. I do believe in every single one of you who is listening right now. I do believe in every single one of you who are not listening right now, or maybe who are not listening. And I hope that everyone is able to do something productive, push themselves, and dream as well as do what they have to do. But now, swiftly moving on, I'm gonna go and discuss my first year as a university student. Last year, when I first joined, I was alone. Like I told you, I was a floater in high school, so I didn't know anyone in my university. I didn't know who was what, who was where, whatever. And especially since the first month was online, and that's basically when you make friends nearly instantaneously. I was not able to talk to anyone. I was online, I was alone, I was at home. COVID was still hitting pretty hard, and it's still hitting really hard right now, but a bit less. But the idea is, it was hard for me. It took me about a year to make some solid friends. I'm grateful for the 2 friends I have right now, who I'm consistently with, and I hope to stay friends with them for a long period of time. I don't know if they might be listening to this, but yes, I do hope you will stick around with me. I hope we stick around together for a while and become good friends. Because many things can change, and as a first year student, not knowing anyone, you have to figure out what to do alone. You have to figure out where to go, or you have to figure out what the university life and what the paperwork you need to do as a new student, how to register, how to find your classes, how to study, how to manage your time, how to adapt to the university lifestyle. Like, these are stuff that you cannot learn from anywhere, and you can only learn either if you're alone or with some people you hang out with. And when I was alone, okay, I'm able to learn on my own, but it takes a longer time for me to figure out stuff because I'm alone, of course, and it's harder when you're alone compared to the group, when people can get insights from different people from different places, and being alone made it much harder. It took me a while to figure out how to register for my courses. It took me a while where to get to my classes. I might have even I was even late at some points to my first classes. Obviously, it's okay to be late on your first day. It's normal. Your professors will expect it because you don't know where the rooms are. You're new and stuff like that. But it's still like living up to the expectations of a university student is not as easy as it might sound, because you don't even know what the expectations are. You don't know what the standards of being a university student is, because going from school to university is a big step. Even though people tell even though they tell you it's life changing, okay, it's life changing, but you're still like, you don't even know what's going on. That's the idea. Life changing, but you don't even know it. And it took me a while. Like, what I recommend for newcomers is that you try and find someone. Just find one person. Just try and find one person. Find one person to be with, hang out with, talk to. If you have something in common, it doesn't matter if it's a he or she. Just be with them. Make a connection. Trust me, you will enjoy your life much better. If you think otherwise, like I did, then you're wrong. Because when I first came in, I was like, I don't want any friends. I don't care about having friends. I just want to do my work, go to classes and get out. And that's practically the same thing. I just want to go to class and get home, But now that I have some friends, I could do some extra stuff. Like, as you might have noticed, I'm doing a podcast. I couldn't have started my podcast without my guests for my first 2 episodes. And being able to do this podcast is amazing. And not having friends, I probably wouldn't have been here. You probably wouldn't be listening to me right now. You probably would have seen some gaming videos, some more first person point of view, sports and so on. And like, it changes you. I'm not saying you should go all out as a person, change your personality. No, because I am a very independent person. I'm very, very, very independent. I rely on myself and only myself. I don't, even if they are my best of best of best of best of best and best of friends, I will still not rely on them, but I will only rely on myself. Being independent is more important than anything. Being independent, being able to manage yourself, self-direct, self-manage yourself is the best abilities you can have as a university student, as a high school student, and as a student, or just as a person. Especially just as a person. If as a person you're able to do stuff on your own, it's extraordinary. Of course, you're gonna have some team working skills. You can't just be alone, because you need to know how to work as a team. It's just a part of life. You can't. In life, you're bound to work as a team. You're never alone. But yes, that's kind of the idea of me being. It's it's a pretty short story of my first year as a sophomore university student. It's a pretty short and quick story. It's nothing special, but it's just how it is. And I'm sharing this because obviously it's August 13th when the day this podcast is out, and by today, new students are preparing themselves for the following semester, preparing themselves in different ways. And if they're listening to this, they'll know how it is to be, how it was for me as a first year student, because it wasn't easy. Like I've talked to some new students via messages so far, and a few students so far. So the people are struggling choosing what classes, which professors, what to do in terms of paperwork. How do I do paperwork? When do I need to submit? When is the registration? So on and so forth. And I never had that. I never had someone to tell me any of that. Maybe I had some minor support, but even that, it was not that great of support. But I took what I can get, you know. And I'm sharing my story about my first year because, as I said, new people are coming. It's gonna, in like literally 17 days, a new semester of classes is about to begin, and people are preparing themselves. And I've talked to students, and they have no idea what to do. And the fact that I was able to help them is something I never had. I literally told this one person, I think it was she, I'm not sure, and they were asking about a few courses and which professors to take and how to organize their schedules and so on and so forth. I never had that. I never had that person to help me. I told them I never had that person to help me. Don't worry, I am here to help you. If you need anything, just let me know. You know, it's I never had that person to help me, and it was a struggle. Maybe the ways, like for instance, the ways I could structure my classes can be different, because now my mindset is stuck to one method, and maybe my method isn't good. Maybe I think my method is working, but there is a much better way to organize my classes, for example, or to choose a better professors, or which classes I should take, which classes, like what are the best combinations to make things not too hard and keep them quite as easy as possible, you know. Like I never had that. I just had to go and deal with it. I just had to guess and just go with the flow. Don't get me wrong, I've had not that great of professors. It's hard to deal with them, but as you mature, as you grow up, as you become more independent, you'll be able to deal with these more and more. So do not worry. I believe that you can do it. I believe that you can succeed. And of course, if you ever need anything as a new student or anything, I'm here to help as much as I possibly can. If I cannot help, I will do my best to refer you to someone who can help. It's just better. It's just best to get all the help you need in order to have an excellent start, not just a good start, an excellent start to university career. Because when you're in university and you join, your first year is always your toughest year. People have told me that, and it's true. My very first semester was horrible. My very first semester was horrible. I struggled even when taking the least amount of credits, the least amount of classes. I struggled so much. And it was my first semester. It's not like we're taking major courses. And I didn't even, and I said, I took the least amount of classes, and it was hard because I had to adapt to the atmosphere of a university student. It was not easy, which is why if you're new, try and make your first year the best year possible. Because when you make that year the best, I promise you, the following semesters will be incredibly spectacular, you know. Like, you'll be so grateful that your first 2 semesters went very well, that you find university easy peasy. And I'm not even joking with you. I feel like with the effort I'm putting in, even with the first year being very hard, with the effort I'm putting in and getting used to the atmosphere, things have gotten much easier. And I'm telling you this from experience. You could take it or not, but this is how I have felt. But yes, anyways, if you have anything you want to add to that, you could drop it down in the comment section below. I'm always gonna respond to your comments, so don't worry. If you have anything you want to say, I'm here for you. But anyways, I wanted to get to the last point, which is, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. To be honest, I got this from the TV show The Big Bang Theory, and I've heard of it from one other place, but I initially got it from the TV series The Big Bang Theory. And at first I was like, oh, okay, it's just a funny phrase because the character is funny and all that. But as I thought about it more, as I actually analyzed the meaning of it, as I actually interpreted the idea of it, I was like, oh wait, what? Wait, this is actually, what? This is so true. What? No way. I should really do this. Like, I should really do this. It's like, how have I not thought about this before? Like, you know, that type of thing. Like, it's better to have it than not need it. Yeah. This could be anything. It's and then need it to not have it. This could be anything, literally anything. It could be like any skill. It's better to learn how to speak French and not need it than need to know how to speak French than not have it. And I'm gonna give you an example about that. Like, for example, if you come across another French person and they don't speak English and you only speak English and then you speak French, what would you do? Like, at that scenario, you would say, oh, I wish I knew how to speak French. And vice versa, even the person who's speaking French would be like, oh, I wish I spoke English, you know? Like, at that moment, you need it, but you don't have it. And that's an issue, because it's better to have it than not need it. If you don't have it, but if you have it and not need it, at least you have it secured in your at the back, so when you pull it up and use it, like, you won't lose anything. It's in life. I'm gonna tell you something very important, because I've been told otherwise. People have told me this principle, this theory, this philosophical idea, the jack of all trades. It's a reference to the idea that it's better to master one thing than to master 5 other things, for example. So it's better to be a brain surgeon, for example, than to be a brain surgeon, an author, a YouTuber, a philosopher, and like something else, you know, because then your expertise wouldn't be as high as it would be if you were only a surgeon, because then you would be recognized for being a highly skilled surgeon, for example, you know. And people actually believe that idea, and I find it absolutely ridiculous, if I'm being honest with you. It's an absolutely ridiculous theory. Like, who on earth came up with that idea? Who on earth is telling people you should just focus on one thing in life? And I recommend that you remember this. In life, the most powerful thing you could ever have, the most powerful tool you could ever have, beyond control of even people, you know, beyond having power as like a king, for example, or as a leader or whatever, you know, like those type of stuff. The most powerful thing you can have, and remember this, the most powerful thing you can have is knowledge. Knowledge is the most powerful thing you can ever have. Without knowledge, you're not all that powerful. Which is why, and I'm assuming all religions even agree with this idea, that God, the Almighty, is the most powerful and the most knowledgeable. He has power Because he has the knowledge. He has knowledge, so therefore he has power. You see what I mean? I bet most of you maybe understand it better that way. But knowledge is the best thing you have. Like, okay, I'm not saying you should have just theoretical knowledge. You can have practical knowledge. You could, for example, you could work on your cardio. You could work on running, because maybe one day you come up, something comes up like where you want to run a marathon. Like, okay, I can do this. I've worked out. I worked on my cardio a long time ago. Now I just need to push myself to a better time. And in this case, you don't have to start from the beginning to prepare for the marathon. You've already got so much workload because you've already put in the effort from before. You've already put in the effort, and you don't need to put that effort again because you're fit. You've done the cardio. You're a fast runner. You're a long runner. You're whatever type of runner. And now you just need to work on being able to maintain the full distance of a marathon. You see what I mean? And I really do feel strongly about it, and I really do believe that you guys, no matter who tells you you shouldn't do this or that, do it. If you wanna, I don't know, be a businessman, businesswoman, then be that. But if you also wanna be a doctor, who said you can't? Tell me who says you can't be a businessman or woman and a doctor? Tell me who tells you that, because that is unacceptable. Okay, the struggle is that it's going to take time. No one said it's going to be easy. Knowledge does not just come overnight. We didn't learn how to do 1 + 1 overnight. We didn't learn how to do multiplication. We didn't learn how to do like algebra. We didn't learn how to do the matrices all overnight. We did not. It took us hours, days, many sessions, many times, many practices in order to achieve it. And if you want to become a doctor, study your medical stuff. Do that. If you want to become a business person as well, do that. If you want to become a business person first and a doctor, do whatever you want. You can do it. I'm telling you, if you want it, you can do it. People think that it's like a social construct where if you've already become like a business person, you shouldn't do anything else because you've already spent 3-4 years, 3-5 years, depending on what degree you've reached, and that's it. You could just get a job and get good money out of it, But if you still want to learn how to become a doctor, then go study. Who said you can't study? Save up some money, work, get a part-time job, and then start studying. It's hard, but it's not impossible. Like, you should be able to do it. And for example, personally, I'm doing business right now. I'm a business student, so hopefully when I finish my university, I'll have a business degree. I'll be a business person, I finished my business degree, so I'm a business person. Meanwhile, I'm a YouTuber. I'm working on my YouTube. Meanwhile, I'm an athletic person. Okay, I'm not fit. If you're thinking about, but you're fat, like all that type of stuff, Okay, I'm fat, but I'm still working. I'm still a volleyball player. I still play volleyball. I'm still on the team. I'm still pushing myself to do what I love. So already 3 things for me, and this is all knowledge. This is all. This all goes back to the statement I told you, where it's better to have it and not need it, and then need it to not have it. For instance, let's pretend I finished my university. I'm a business person. I have it. Maybe I don't need it right now, but I have it. Okay, I'm playing volleyball. Those skills, those technical skills, maybe I come across something. Obviously, the examples I'm giving you right now, you might say it's not that realistic, it's not that uh, common to happen, it's very unlikely to happen. Maybe it's not impossible, but in most scenarios, in like the majority of the cases, it's unlikely to happen. Okay, that's true. Maybe the example of me needing volleyball is unlikely to happen, but the idea that I'm fit, I go to the gym, I do my workouts and stuff, I'll get that in handy. You never know. You never know. You never know. You always gotta take what you can get. Okay, many people don't like studying. Like I said, I'm not a very smart person. I've struggled a lot with studying, and it's made me not enjoy studying as much as I used to. But I do push myself to become a better student because I care. I care about pushing my limitations, becoming smarter, becoming capable of achieving greater things. And if studying is not the skill sets you need, no one said it has to be studying. Like I said, go learn 20 different languages. Spend time learning different languages. You already know one, which is English, let's say. And if you're like living in Lebanon, you most probably know Arabic and French. So that's already 3 languages. You know 3 languages. So why not go and learn one more? Okay, you're fluent in that. Why not go and learn one more? Okay, you don't want to learn a language. Okay, go. Why don't you learn play a musical instrument, for example? Why don't you go and learn some practical things, such as typing, being a fast typer? One of the things I practice is typing quicker and quicker. I just go on a random website and I learn how to type, and I practice as much as I can. There's no harm in that. I just do all the practice I can, and like, whenever am I gonna need fast typing? Like, okay, I have some essays to write, I finish writing essays. Otherwise, when am I gonna need fast typing? These are the moments when you need them. You won't believe how useful my fast typing skills have come in handy when it came to writing my essay. I literally procrastinated writing my essays to the last hour. Okay, you might not believe me because it's ridiculous to write a complete essay from scratch, not knowing what to write within an hour. But I'm telling you, I promise, I swear to God, that I've used those typing speed skills to handy, and because of that I was able to successfully finish my essay on time and submit. These are just a few fishes in the ocean, not even in the sea, in the ocean, that you could acquire. And that's my recommendation to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this podcast. I hope it was productive. I hope you were inspired and learned something new. I hope I was able to make you aware of some of the social dilemmas, for instance. I hope I was able to help you in any way possible. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast being solo, and that you were interested in what I had to say. And please don't forget to subscribe. I'd really appreciate your support. We're pushing up really well, and in terms of subscribers, not even like less than 2 weeks ago I was on 104 subscribers. Now I'm on 121, and I'm extremely grateful for that, and I'm proud of the achievement of my channel and where I've been able to get with your support. And I hope to see you guys next time. Please don't forget to like as well and share. I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.